I'm Bryce Carl.
And we are presenting on should tissues be used for research.
First, we're going to be talking about the background information. So the main question is, what is tissue research? Tissue research is where scientists study human tissue to work on coming up with a prevention of disease or treatment. Tissue research is defined as including everything from subcellular structures like DNA to cells, tissue, bone, muscle, connective tissue, and skin, organs such as the liver, bladder, heart, kidney, blood gametes such as sperm and ova, embryos, fetal tissue, and waste such as urine, feces, sweat, hair and nail clippings, shed epithelial cells, and placenta. All this was according to a national source of human tissue samples. Tissue research first came into existence in 1921. Fetal tissue was studied after the first fetal tissue transplant in the UK, where there was a failed attempt to treat Addison's disease. Addison's disease is when the adrenal glands don't produce enough hormones. Also, in 1951, a researcher at Johns Hopkins University created the first human cell line with samples taken from an unwitting cancer patient. This is when HeLa cells were named and found their purposeful role in development of polio vaccine and in the study of many diseases. This information is from Human Tissue Research BioCompare.
Next, I will be talking about what is the problem with using tissues in research. The problem with using tissues in research is that there are discrepancies in the ethics of using tissues taken out of the body. There is an uncertainty involved with ownership, meaning who has the right to the sample, who they can share with, and how they can use the sample. These issues often arise when informed consent is not asked when conducting research. Next, we'll be talking about how they are used and what does it lead to.
So human tissue leads to discoveries in disease progression, drug development, and medical procedures that help many people every day.
Although using borrowed specimens can lead to valuable knowledge and medical advancements, there are legal and ethical issues that arise when research is conducted without informed consent. Questions like, is the patient confidentiality being broken, and who has the rights to monetary values from the research? And these are brought to light by the patients.
Although there are some medical professionals who do not use informed consent, there are specialists who work towards finding these errors and condemn those who are in the wrong, even putting them at risk of losing their licensure. Next, we are going to be talking about tissue banks. So, what are tissue banks? A tissue bank is an establishment that collects and recovers human tissue for the purpose of medical research, education, and allograft transplantation. This is all according to the American Association of Tissue Banks. Next, where are they located? Tissue banks are located all over the United States. Doing a Google search to find the nearest one to you would be your best bet, especially when you are looking to donate. Tissue banks were the first association organized in 1976 by a group of scientists who began the nation's first tissue bank in 1949, which was the United States Navy Tissue Bank. Now, how do they keep track of all the donations? Donations are assigned a file name or number and kept in the computer database that is kept confidential with patient information. This information is used nationally when cross-matching to find donors. Now, how do people donate? Anyone can donate by going to a tissue bank or donation center. Just be cautious and know all the risks when donating any tissue. The most common tissue donated is blood or plasma. There are 5 different technologies that use donated human tissue, such as disease in a dish, tissue on a chip, patient-derived samples, 3D bioprinting, and high-throughput screening. When donating tissue, the National Disease Research Interchange accept many tissues from either living or post-mortem donors. They can donate blood, tissue from surgeries such as tumors or diseased organs or organs after death. Next, Amber is going to be discussing informed consent.
You may be asking yourself, what is informed consent? Informed consent describes a process for enabling individuals to make voluntary decisions. According to the U.S. National Library of Medicine, informed consent should be used because it is the basis of ethical conduct in research and allows for mutual respect. of all people involved. Informed consent allows for an understanding of the procedures, risks, and benefits involved so that there is no confusion within the research process. Although there are still ambiguous definitions of consent, and the most popular one should be dynamic consent, which is when individuals are provided with an interacting digital system that allows them to tailor, modify, and update consent choices according to their review of genomics and human genetics. Next, we will be talking about patient confidentiality.
So who can view or have possession of the tissue? Only medical professionals and scientists are allowed to view or have possession of the tissues. When a consent form is signed, there's a process of elimination that goes on when assessing the state and guidance of the specimen. There's a direct chain of command when delivering and appraising the tissues donated or extracted. Next, how do professionals keep this confidential? When information is recorded, only those with direct access can view all their information. The patient is protected by HIPAA, the Health Insurance Privacy and Accountability Act. HIPAA covers privacy of health information, security of electronic records, administrative simplification, and insurance portability. It provides detailed instructions for handling and protecting a patient's personal health information. Next, Amber will be talking about what control should the patient have.
Should the patient be able to make decisions about where the sample tissues go? Although the patients cannot take specimens back, they should be able to have the decision who can have access to them, and if they do not allow for access, the sample should be disposed properly by BioWA's regulations. The idea of self-autonomy should be brought up in these cases of cell ownership. Autonomy has two conditions which are essential liberty and agency. According to Frontiers in Psychology, liberty describes independence for controlling influences, and agency the capacity for intentional action. With these ideas of self-autonomy and informed consent, there is a mutual disclosure of information for ethical practice. Next, we will be talking about the case story of Henrietta Lacks. Bryce mentioned earlier that the story of Henrietta Lacks is a cancer patient's cells were taken without her knowledge or permission. According to the National Library of Medicine, the HeLa cells were recognized by the first two letters of her name. And despite the scrutiny of this invasion of privacy, a case group of researchers posted the sequence of one HeLa cell online, and there are still HeLa cell samples being used today without consent. This can be seen as breaking HIPAA, and it's a patient confidentiality invasion.
Next, we're going to be going on to our conclusion. So, tissue donation isn't as scary as it may seem. Knowing all the background information and regulations beforehand can give a patient a better overview. Having the ability to see where the donations go and what it will do for the better good can put them at ease. With all the ethical terms being evaluated, there's an immense advancement in medical ability.
When informed consent is given to do research and understood properly, all rights should be given to the researcher so that research can be conducted ethically, legal, and socially just for the benefits of medical innovation. Although the information by the researcher should be conveyed in a way that is easily understood and all-encompassing for the patient. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.